think there's been a time that 7 prime ministers have actually been alive.
So it would be from Major...
John Major, Tony Blair, Gordon Brown, David Cameron, Theresa May, Boris Johnson, and then her 15th prime minister was Liz Truss.
So it's every prime minister since Thatcher?
Yes, and of course because Mrs. Thatcher's no longer with us.
OK, the new coins with Charles will face left, and that is due to a 17th century tradition that the direction must alternate for each new monarch. So the Queen faces to the right and Charles will face to the left.
Okay.
And then William will face back to the right again.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense to me. And if we go through the American presidents, again, I believe, I don't know why they're saying 13 American presidents. I believe it's 14 because Harry S. Truman was president in 52 when she was proclaimed the Queen, although she wasn't coronated.
But she never received him, is that right?
Ah, so that could be that. That could be where the disagreement comes from. 13 presidents.
But she reigned for 14, maybe.
And just to look back on the history then in that case, so let's just go through them very briefly. Harry S. Truman, and after Harry S. Truman was Dwight D. Eisenhower. This is a long, long time ago. Think of that history. Before our time it was. And after Dwight D. Eisenhower was John Fitzgerald Kennedy. Of course, he was assassinated in 1963, November 1963. Lyndon B. Johnson took over from him. And then, of course, you had the famous Richard Nixon, the first American president that had to resign in 1974. The Queen spoke directly to all of these American presidents.
Gerald Ford after him?
Gerald Ford was the one who took over because he was the deputy president, or the vice president, they call him. After Gerald Ford...
Oh, who was it after Gerald Ford? Hang on. Who was it?
The Peanut Man. Jimmy...
Carter.
There you go,
Jimmy Carter.
And by the way, just for those who are listening on the radio as opposed to watching on the screen, I'm not reading this. I'm doing this from memory.
You are. You're doing it off memory.
Because history was my favourite subject in school. They told me not to do history because they said there's no future in it, but it's getting me by right now. And then after, of course, Jimmy Carter was Ronald Reagan. And that was when Margaret Thatcher came into power, and you saw those iconic pictures.
See, now I know that, because then you got Ronald Reagan, George Bush Senior, Bill Clinton for 2
terms.
George W. Bush for 2, Barack Obama for 2, Donald Trump, and now Joe Biden. I almost forgot the one that's there now. I almost forgot that one.
I wasn't going to jump in because, of course, you do know that.
So that's a lot.
So, yeah.
But also, just think of what Britain was like in 1952. I mean, it's absolutely staggering to think that
you had that fog in London, the fog which was killing people because of the
the smog, wasn't it?
The smog. That was that's what they call it in California. I was thinking of that word, but I thought we don't use that word over here.
Yes, the
but
smog.
If you like to say smog
and just the technological changes, the way in which society has changed, the way all of it, we were still recovering.
And she changed with it. That was the amazing thing about it. It was just one little blip during, of course, the time of Princess Diana in 1997, where she stayed in Balmoral, and it was Tony Blair.
Us. I will keep arguing that. That was us. Like the problem that she faced during that time, and during, remember when you think about Aberfan as well, where she was sort of criticised for not being, for not visiting immediately and perhaps showing enough emotion. That's us moving the goalposts on her. That's not her moving the goalposts on us. That's us saying, oh, we love the fact that you are this stoic, constant figure, and that you remain above these things, and that you are this absolute constant, and that you are not overly emotional and gushing. And then we decide when something crisis happens, actually, no. We want you to be different now. We want you to come to London and tell us how much you loved Diana. But then the week after we say, well, actually, no, we don't want that anymore because we like this stoic, unemotional Queen.
I think the reasoning behind the success of a monarch, and especially the Queen, is to be in touch with the people, and that's what's very important. And Tony Blair, at that point, caught the mood because he felt that the people actually wanted her to come down to London and be at the palace.
True,
at that
but
point,
she was used to not being the case. But she was used to the public not wanting that from her. And we changed our minds. I'm not saying that we were that she was wrong to come to London, but what I'm saying is that I think that in history we need to judge the fact that that misstep was not as a result of the Queen doing something different. It was as a result of us wanting something different.
And this is a prime example of the Prime Minister also advising the Queen, because it works both ways. And it has been said that when the Prime Minister was helping the Queen write a speech, of course she has her own speech writers, but it was inserted, and it was Tony Blair's influence that actually inserted the word, I speak to you as the Queen, but as a grandmother of two grieving sons for their mother. That was a personal thing. That could resonate with the people of this country, and that was kept into the speech. So not does she advise prime ministers and presidents and all those people who seek her counsel for her wisdom and her knowledge and her understanding of events because of her experience, but also she's willing to accept advice and counsel and wisdom. And that's the sign of a true, wise, towering pillar of stability.
Yeah.
And it's very sad that we've lost her.
It is really sad that we lost it. And the fact that she as well just went on live television and just nailed it as well at that point. She did that live broadcast across all of the channels, and you're right, did so as a grandmother. And I will never forget, one of the moments I won't ever forget was when Diana's coffin filed past, and I've never seen the Queen bow her head before, but she bowed her head quite markedly. She was thanking her for producing the air, I think. She was thanking her.
And she was in touch with the mood of the people at that point. The people wanted her to do that, and she did that. It was the correct thing to do. And she must have had a relationship with Diana, although, of course, when it's your son who breaks away from his wife, of course, you're naturally going to take the son's side. But anyway, all that is history. This is a time for togetherness. This is a time for stability. This is a time to speak to each other with respect.
But isn't that interesting that in 70 years, it's that's about all we've got where we can say about missteps. That's about it. That's all we've got. That's all we've got. I could give you more in 70 minutes of prime ministers that we've had. You know, that like 70 hours in the job, and they screw up something, break a promise, and ruin it. That's all we've got in 70 years. That's it.
Because they're political, and newspapers can take them apart for anything that they say or don't say. But whereas the Queen, we don't really know what she thought about.
No, and I cherish that.
Yeah.
I cherish that in our over-articulated, oversharing, Instagram-esque generation that we had absolutely no idea. I don't know who she liked, who she disliked, which prime minister was absolutely, drove her mad, or which ones she absolutely adored. And it's brilliant, because nor should I.